Crypto in just the next 10 days is going to explode like you have never seen before, and these two charts prove it. You see, at the start of a bullish phase for crypto, we always see the Bitcoin price expanding rapidly. And if you check the charts, from those April lows, Bitcoin is up over $30,000. Following a Bitcoin rally, Ethereum is always next. And right now, while the Ethereum price is sitting fairly quiet, these two charts are showing us that the on-chain strength for Ethereum is growing stronger by the day, signaling that a breakout is just around the corner. As soon as Ethereum breaks, the entire altcoin market will explode aggressively. But particular altcoins will massively outperform during this early phase, and we're already starting to see some of those emerging right now. So in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what we can expect to happen over the next 7 to 10 days and how to identify which altcoins will see some of the most aggressive growth during the very early stages of that altcoin breakout.
피터 앤서니는 암호화폐 분야에서 활동하는 인플루언서이자 콘텐츠 제작자로 유튜브 채널 더 하우스 오브 크립토의 운영자입니다. 그의 플랫폼은 전 세계적으로 빠르게 성장하는 웹3 커뮤니티 중 하나로 자리 잡았으며, 피터는 복잡한 암호화폐 기술을 쉽게 설명하고 시장 심리를 분석하며 투자 및 트렌드에 대한 통찰을 제공하는 데 중점을 두고 있습니다. 이런 그가 비트코인의 강세장이 임박했다는 시그널과 함께 알트코인 시장에 대해서 얘기합니다.
We're ready for the next phase of the bull market to begin. So how am I so confident that things are about to get exciting? Well, before we go and check out those two charts that I think you're going to really want to see, let's quickly see what's going on with Bitcoin, because it's incredibly exciting right now. Despite it being Sunday and being low volumes in the market and people being still a little scared as to whether or not the bull market is over, this should have you in no doubt where we're headed next. You see, Bitcoin right now has been very closely mirroring the M2 money supply. You know that, right? As you can see, for the last 10 days, Bitcoin's been going basically sideways in this range, as the M2 has been going sideways in this range. But as you can see, after the past few weeks, every single time we've seen a massive expansion in the price like this, these have all been closely linked to these big up phases in the M2. And right now we're expecting to see that next big up phase in M2 starting on Tuesday. So somewhere around Tuesday, obviously not specific to the day, but sometime towards the end of this week, we're going to expect the M2 to push up to levels that it was at when the Bitcoin bull market topped out in December. And this was when the whole bull market topped out. Yes, we had that kind of fake out Trump pump that happened here, but the wider total market cap for crypto hit highs here. And this is what we're expecting to see sometime in the next 10 or so days. So while everyone's out there still fearful and worried, I'm not concerned at all, because things are looking incredibly bullish for crypto. But I get it. You're like, yeah, but Bitcoin keeps rallying and I'm not holding any Bitcoin. I'm just holding altcoins. Why is nothing happening? Well, because there's a kind of path to the way things work. When the markets, global markets, are really like risk adverse and there's not really very good conditions for betting on stock markets, etc., everyone buys into bonds and all these incredibly low risk assets. Right now, those are starting to decline. The dollar's dropping, the bond market's starting to decrease as well. And then people start to move into stocks. We've seen the stock market rally, then they move into crypto. We see Bitcoin starting to rally, then they move down the curve of altcoins to the smaller cap altcoins, into the NFTs and all that crazy end of the market that we will see towards the end of this year. And right now we're seeing the very transition take place from the lowest risk crypto asset, which is Bitcoin, towards kind of the slightly higher risk assets as we go down the path. So there is a chance that we see another leg up for Bitcoin this week before we see the wider altcoin market exploding, but we are starting to see some strength in the altcoins. And I think it's all because of what we're seeing on these charts for Ethereum. So what are they? Well, the first one I want you to consider is that Ethereum, despite what you've heard and despite what people say about it, is still holding huge amounts of locked up stored value on chain. Right now you can see that the accumulation levels are insane. All-time high accumulation for whales. Whales tend to front run little Timmy and the rest. So when the whales and everyone are accumulating, they tend to do it before the price is moving much. They tend to do it quietly behind the scenes before everyone's hyped up and excited. This is really when we want to start entering the markets, or at least be into the markets before this is happening. Why? Because once you start to get proof that the altcoin season is on, like when everything starts to explode like crazy, you've already missed it. Around the time that people are going to be entering back into these markets because they're like, wow, this pump is real, I'm going to be starting to take profits ready for the next pullback. And that's what we want to do. We want to position before the move. If you wait for the move, you're too late. So massive accumulation going on Ethereum right now. We can see that this always happens before significant rallies in the ETH price. We saw it happening in the last bull market before major leg ups, and right now this has me incredibly bullish for ETH. If that wasn't enough, Ethereum versus Bitcoin. Ethereum has been on this horrible looking downtrend versus Bitcoin over the past 3 years. And as you can see from this very little tip, it's just broken out. And this indicates something very significant. It indicates that people are shifting from that lower risk mindset of Bitcoin hodlers towards becoming Ethereum hodlers, and then we're starting to move down the curve. You see how this is starting to work out. And as you can see on the daily chart, this move of Ethereum versus Bitcoin is incredibly significant. And yes, it has had a little bit of a pause for a few days as Bitcoin's been going sideways, but eventually this is what's going to happen. Bitcoin will have a bit of a rally. Eventually, maybe Bitcoin goes sideways for a bit, and then you're going to see Ethereum pumping 10, 20, 30% in a single day, while Bitcoin goes up 1 or 2%. This happened previously multiple times in bull markets before this, okay? So while you might be newer to crypto and you might have joined the crypto markets after 2022, you probably have never seen this happen before, but trust me, this is exactly playing out how it did before. It's just a little bit delayed this time because of Trump's tariffs that came in earlier this year and pushed the whole thing back a bit. And if we jump out to a weekly chart, we can see the Ethereum versus Bitcoin value that it was at down here back on the 6th of January 2020 basically led to a crazy charge. This is what the ultimate bull market looked like for Ethereum versus Bitcoin when that altcoin season started to go crazy. By which point you can expect to see Bitcoin steadily climbing, and the altcoins around it are rallying aggressively. And this is not just Ethereum. We're starting to see a lot of the larger cap altcoins also showing strength here. This is XRP versus Bitcoin. Look, it's holding very closely into this level of strength here. Every time it's dipping down, it's preparing to push higher. Yes, in the last week, you can see it's dipped back down into this zone, but that's nothing to worry about. I would say that pretty much altcoins, Bitcoin, you're not really going to see it significantly lower than it is right now. You know, at best, you might be able to get a 10% pullback on some of these coins, but I really highly doubt that you're going to have much more opportunity. Cardano holding its own against Bitcoin on this level here. You can see aggressive rallies happen every time Cardano is sat in this zone versus Bitcoin. All of this together gives us confluence that all of the altcoins are building in strength versus Bitcoin. All of these major Bitcoin altcoin pairs. Sui, you can see, is a front runner and has been rallying aggressively here and is now starting to put in these higher lows. And you can see again, Sui is ready for another leg up. One of the most important charts that I think you need to see before we jump into some of the different altcoins that I think are worth paying attention to is this. This is the Bitcoin dominance plus USDT dominance plus USDC dominance. Let's just think about what that means for a moment. It means as a percentage of all the money in crypto, how much of it is held in Bitcoin and the stable coins. Lots of people are just talking about Bitcoin dominance right now, but looking at this is where we see the best opportunity because every single day right now, the USDT market cap is climbing. It's $151 billion. It's added $6 billion in just the last 3 or 4 weeks. If you go back to something around November time, it was $120 billion. We now have $31 billion more in stablecoins ready to flow into the crypto markets. This is why this time we're going to see an even bigger rally than we did at the end of last year. And it's going to go beyond that because the M2 just keeps going and going and going with a little bit of a pullback coming in the summer. So what's the combined dominance doing that we need to pay attention to? Well, first things first, you can probably see this purple chart down below. And this is the relative strength index on a weekly chart. As you can see, since back in summer 2022, we have been decreasing in terms of relative strength on this chart, while the dominance has been going up and up and up. This is telling us that we have a bearish divergence. It means that while the price is increasing, the momentum is being lost. Imagine skiing down a hill, trying to ski up the other side, and as you start to slow down, eventually your momentum will stop and you will slide back down the other way. This is what this is basically showing us. And as you can see, last week when we saw an aggressive rally across the altcoins, that was because of this major dip happening here. Now what you can see is it's run into an area of support, it's bounced a bit, and will start to decline, hitting into the next area of support. And as it goes, it will see little bounces each time, and each time you're going to see a little bit of a pullback for alts, etc. If I jump across to a daily chart, then you can see that using the Fibonacci, we have simply just pulled back to the 50% zone after a very strong sell-off. Very strong sell-off, 50% pullback, then we're going to drop again. As soon as that drops, if Bitcoin's going up, altcoins go crazy. We saw it happen just the other day. It's going to be starting to happen more and more as this gets weaker and weaker and the market wakes up to the fact that we're in a bull market. Still, while you're here and I'm here, many people haven't even woken up to the fact that Bitcoin's back above 100k. No one's paying attention. As soon as that hits the mainstream media, everyone's going to rush back in. Now then, where are we seeing strength across the market? This is a really, really important one. People keep asking me, like, which altcoins should I be holding? Is this an altcoin that I should be holding compared to this one? So meme coins seem to be doing okay at the moment, but they don't really fit into the kind of utility model, which I know many of you are interested in. So, what is a utility altcoin? It does something, right? It's supposed to do something. And if it's supposed to do something, it's supposed to be a company that's generating revenue, generating real fees, generating real users. Many crypto projects out there talk about how they're going to generate real users into the future, which makes them a speculative asset. However, there are other cryptos out there that are not speculative assets because they're already doing something, they're already generating significant revenue, because it's going to get very exciting very quickly for certain altcoins. Most altcoins out there will have very strong runs, but again, don't panic. If you don't see altcoins you're holding rallying strongly straight away, just be patient, okay? As long as you're in for the long game, you're probably going to do much better than most. If you're worried about holding too many altcoins and you're not sure, guys, go and narrow it down by finding altcoins that are really doing something, that are demonstrating the data, the information behind what they're actually achieving.
피터 앤서니는 10일 안에 벌어질 시장 흐름을 얘기하며 암호화폐 시장의 폭발적인 상승을 예고합니다. 비트코인이 10만 달러를 돌파한 지금 이더리움과 알트코인의 상승을 얘기하고 있죠. 유틸리티 알트코인에 주목을 해야 하고 단순 투기성 투자는 피해야 한다고 경고합니다. 우리는 객관적인 시각으로 투자를 해야 하고 지금 당장만 보고 투자할 게 아니라 미래를 보고 투자를 해야겠죠. 010-2472-0429 전화번호로 탈겜이 적어서 문자 보내주시면 2025년 비트코인과 코인시장에 대한 분석, 정보들 공유해드리겠습니다. 현재 우리에게 중요한 것은 이러한 정보를 어떻게 활용할 것인가입니다. 지금까지 영상 시청해주셔서 감사하고요. 다음에 더 좋은 영상으로 찾아뵙겠습니다. 감사합니다.